All around us, we see the chipping away, the whitewashing of our culture, and the whitewashing of the value, the significance, and the admiration of the US dollar seems to be happening all around us. Now, I don't know where we are. Are we here or are we there?
Welcome, everyone. Today, we're exploring the whirlwind of events shaping the global economy in the past 5 years and the pivotal role gold and silver have played throughout. Join me as we unravel the reasons behind their rise and what it means for the future. Whether you're a seasoned investor or just curious, this discussion is your guide to understanding the current market dynamics and how to navigate them effectively. Are you ready to set sail into the realm of opportunity? Let's dive in.
Today, I've prepared a video for you to help explain, at least in my own words, why we are seeing many people move to the safety found in precious metals. And the title of the presentation is called The Logarithmic Decay of the US Dollar. I hope you enjoy it. I believe this is as true of a statement as any I've ever uttered. And I do believe that this country has done more to destroy itself in the past few years than any external enemy could have ever have done. And I hope to show you that in the following slides. The term logarithmic decay is something that I have found great clarity in. It to me describes what is happening on many levels, socially, morally, economically, geopolitically. The term, in essence, says you start to move downward little by little by little by little, then bang, all at once. Almost as if you are on the Niagara Falls River, not knowing what lies ahead. The pitch begins to slowly decline until bang, all at once. And when we talk about many of the things that have happened in this country, the things such as the woke agenda that used to never be part of this country, that is now little by little by little has been thrown into the vernacular over the last few years and now is in our face, or cancel culture, or the lawlessness in the cities, or the move away from the nuclear family, or the fact that the justice system in this country is being questioned as to whether or not there is a two-tier justice system, the open borders. All of these things that we have seen little by little by little seem to be increasing dramatically. Now, the question becomes whether we're talking inside this country or the way we are viewed outside the country, or the declining demand for the US dollar, the little by little by little by little, the chipping away at the fabric of this country, at the hegemony of the United States dollar, I think is unquestionable. All around us, we see the chipping away, the whitewashing of our culture, and the whitewashing of the value, the significance, and the admiration of the US dollar seems to be happening all around us. Now, I don't know where we are. Are we here or are we there on that graph? I'll leave that up for you to decide. But as we continue through this presentation, I hope to add some clarity to that question. If you wanted to lose the world reserve currency status, next to weaponizing the dollar, the next thing you could do would be to sign an executive order to go green. The linchpin of the dollar hegemony centers around the protection of the Saudi kingdom and OPEC, who then will, for the last 50 years, value oil globally in dollars. Every single country on the planet has had to accumulate dollars for the last 50 years. This is a synthetic demand that was created out of the fact that through our protection of the Saudi kingdom, and by extension OPEC, oil globally will be valued in dollars, and every single country on the planet has had to stockpile them for 50 years to buy oil. So by weaponizing the dollar and signing Executive Order 14057 as one of his first acts in office, in essence, we have taken, as far as I'm concerned, the two biggest steps you possibly could ever take to lose the world reserve status, to lose the petrodollar status. We are telling the Saudis, hey, thanks for the memories, guys, but we don't need you anymore. We're going green. And by the way, if you step out of line, you too can be sanctioned and your assets frozen and perhaps even confiscated. And when we talk about the expanding BRICS, these countries are growing by the day. And I think you will witness a period of time over the next few years where literally those countries that are in the West right now, in the G7, become the distinct minority across the globe. And the one common denominator with every one of these countries that have either been admitted to the BRICS or have formally applied to the BRICS is that they are very, very resource rich, natural resource rich, and or control major shipping lanes. When you talk about the countries that are in the BRICS right now, or that were just admitted, in particular, Egypt and Saudi Arabia and Iran, you are now controlling the majority of the land around and the routes around the Red Sea and the Straits of Hormuz. And when you add into it Ethiopia at the same time, you are literally covering that entire region. And this is not by coincidence. This is by design. When you look at all of the countries here in red, those are that have formally applied to the BRICS here for the next meeting in Russia in 2024, every single one of those countries is either resource rich and or is a strategic country in terms of its proximity to shipping lanes and or transport routes, either on land or on sea. This is not coincidental. This is not by mistake. And I think you will see this continue. So when you see countries like Venezuela, who in and of themselves wouldn't really rattle the West too much, moving to join the BRICS, keep in mind that they hold the largest known oil reserves on the planet. And so these countries that are being admitted, little by little by little by little by little, chipping away at the dollar hegemony, have severe significance when you look at them in a greater picture, in a bigger picture. You can see very quickly that these countries have been invited to or are being considered to join BRICS. And ask yourself, how about credit? How about the full faith and credit of this country? We're a country that has $151 trillion or more in funded and unfunded liabilities. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, government, military, pensions, all of these things are liabilities to the country with only $5 trillion of assets, leading to the statement I just made, of which 40% is student debt. We are a country that's broke and insolvent. You talk about the full faith and credit of this country. When we talk about faith, well, we just saw that the faith is being questioned. And when we talk about credit, what credit? We are at about 126 or 7% debt to GDP, and there has never been a country that crossed 130% that didn't outright default or hyperinflate, which is the same thing. So when we talk about what made this country great, you could argue that we are a broke, insolvent, and wayward country. We have lost our bearings, and we're a country that continues to throw money around the globe that we have to borrow in the first place. And not only that, borrow money just to pay the interest on the debt, which is rapidly approaching $1 trillion per year. This is a situation that is unattainable, whether it be morally, socially, economically. All of these things are at an inflection point, and I think will only be exacerbated by the way the world views this country moving forward. And one of the things that I think is important to understand as we talk about gold is that gold is not an investment. Gold is wealth. And the most powerful bank on the planet tells us this. The Bank of International Settlements is the central banker's central bank. They are the most influential bank in the world. And very quietly in 2019, they whispered to the world, those that were listening, that gold would be the only other tier one asset next to US dollars and treasuries, which had been the only tier one asset since the end of World War II. And so when you realize that the biggest money on the planet is accumulating gold at record levels, and when I say gold, I mean silver too. But when you realize that the biggest money in the world, who is not only the most well-funded, but also the well-informed traders on the planet, the central banks, they are buying gold at levels the world has never seen. Over the last 2 years, they've bought more gold than at any time in history. And I want it to be understood that the central banks are not just the most well-funded traders on the planet. They are the most well-informed traders on the planet, and they know the playbook. And they are using the suppression of the Western paper markets to achieve their goals. By allowing the Western commercial banks to suppress the price of gold to make the United States dollar and bond market seem better than it is, they're using that suppression against us. And we are seeing gold not only and silver be accumulated at record levels, but seeing it drained off of the world's exchanges and taking possession, pulling it off of the exchanges, removing counterparty risk. That gold bar in that gentleman's hand is an example of what gold is. It is an asset that is not simultaneously someone else's liability. And when you see governments around the world selling treasuries at record levels and buying gold at record levels, it's of no coincidence. Gold has averaged, when you take the appreciation from 2000 to 2024, it has averaged 7.8% per year, which has outpaced the S&P 500 and has outpaced the bond market tremendously. At the same time, it has no sanction or confiscation risk. It has no counterparty risk. It has no default risk. It has no risk associated with U.S. treasuries, and I think that is a growing trend. These countries are trading with one another right now in their local currencies. They are not settling in U.S. dollars. They are settling in yuan, in rupee, in ruble, in real, and they are then accumulating gold instead of buying treasuries, because part of the petrodollar deal was you value oil globally in dollars and the excess you put into U.S. treasuries. Well, we are seeing countries like China and Saudi Arabia and Russia and Japan, they're all dumping treasuries. And in place of treasuries, they're buying gold at record levels because it does the same thing. It has liquidity, it has global demand, but it has no counterparty risk.
The world of finance has come to an end, and we are grateful to you, respected adventurers, for joining us on this fascinating journey. Creating financial wisdom is an ongoing endeavor, and the treasures of knowledge are limitless. If you found value in today's exploration, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more enlightening discussions with Andy Schectman. Together, we'll continue to navigate the currents of the global economy and uncover the pathways to prosperity. Until our next adventure, may your sails be filled with opportunity and your compass always points true.